I will next introduce a person that I just met recently. I have a feeling he's going to go somewhere neat also. Rolando, would you come up here, please? I would like to introduce you to Rolando Garcia with SD15. You heard about the 15 to 15 vote in the platform committee? Well, one of those 15 is right here. But he was not there before we had the vote for the permanent platform committee. And there were 3 SDs in this state. One of them was SD15, the other one was SD12 up in North Texas and Denton. And I forget exactly where the other one was. If someone knows, please tell us. But what happened was those people got a look at what their representative that they had sent on the temporary platform committee. They got a look at what had happened and what had been happening in the platform committee. They decided to make a change, a last-minute change. And last-minute changes have an awful lot of effect on things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Rolando and let him tell you about his experience.
Thank you, Larry. Speaking right after Peter, I feel I can relate to a lot of what he said as far as, just a regular person who felt so passionate about this issue that, I didn't even know I was going to run to be on the platform committee until a few minutes before SD15 began their caucus. Our representative on the platform committee, Richard Dillon, is a long-time insider in the Harris County Republican Party. I'm sure many of you are familiar with him. His daughter was until recently executive director of the Harris County Party. I mean, he'd been on the platform committee for many conventions now. I think he just assumed it was his birthright. And because he was a supporter of the Texas solution, I thought, well, if nobody else is going to run against him, I at least want to put my name forward so that at least the delegates have a choice. And if nothing else, I'll get 3 minutes to talk to the caucus about why the Texas solution is such a disaster. And that was all I thought going into it. Well, they had the balloting. There were 3 people who ran, Richard, myself, and a 3rd candidate. I think Richard had 40-some votes. I had 30-some votes. The 3rd candidate had 20-some votes. No one had a majority. We went to a 2nd ballot. It was tied 49 to 49. So we go to a 3rd ballot. 51 to 50. I won. How about one person making a difference, one vote making a difference? And the best part, you should have seen the look on Norm Adams' face. That's Norm Adams' SD15, and he went up and gave one of the nominating speeches for Richard Dillon. 51 to 50. And I think that's significant because...
Do you need a chair?
I could hear this stand here all night.
It's all recorded.
And I think that's significant because 51 to 50, those people weren't voting for me. They didn't know who I was. I was a nobody. I was a guy with a hard-to-pronounce name. And when I went up to speak, I didn't talk about myself. All I said was that Richard Dillon supports the Texas solution, and this is why he is dead wrong. And on that issue alone, we got a majority. They voted for a nobody against someone, a well-established figure in the party. I want to touch on 3 quick things that I think were important in winning the battle, not just in that caucus, but on the convention floor. there were 3 key deceptions behind the Texas solution. They'll tell you it's not amnesty. But let's be clear, any policy that allows people who are here illegally to stay legally without first returning to their country of origin to get in line for a visa, that is amnesty. The second deception, it's not amnesty because we make them pay a fine, and we make them learn English, and we make them learn civics. That's exactly what they did in the 1986 amnesty, and it didn't work. Don't let them do this to us again. The third deception behind the Texas solution that I wanted to point out to my caucus was temporary guest workers. There's no such thing as a temporary guest worker. If we have learned nothing over the past 40 years, it is that we will not deport visa overstays. Once they get their worker visa and they overstay, what are we going to do? We're not going to deport them. We have 40 years of experience to know that. So I think when you lay out the issue to people, and I think, as I think Peter touched on, what we were up against. I mean, the pro-Texas solution side was so well funded and so well organized. They had sent direct mail pieces to all the delegates in the weeks leading up to the convention. They had a big elaborate booth in the exhibit hall. They were giving out little canvas tote bags and materials. I mean, I think, what did we have? You know, we had little stickers that said,
Which everybody wanted.
yeah, and let's be honest. Most of the state party leadership wanted to keep the Texas solution.
Right.
They stacked the platform committee in favor of amnesty. Tom Meckler was in favor of amnesty. I mean, we had all the odds against us. And but again, when you put the issue to the delegates, and again, what Peter said, the key was reading it. When it was read aloud, we said, this makes sense. And so, I don't really have much else to add except I would add, we all, small part. The main part I like to think, I believe it takes at least 8 platform committee members to submit a minority report. There were only 5 before the SD caucuses. During the SD caucuses, we replaced 3 pro-amnesty members with 3 against amnesty, as Larry was saying. It didn't change the balance of power, really, on the platform committee, because it was already way stacked against us, but it gave us enough votes to submit a minority report that was included with the platform. And that minority report made up the substance of this. But again, I want to thank Peter. He improved on the minority report. When they presented it, I had no idea whether he was on our side or not. But when I heard this line, in addition, with 92 million Americans not working in the labor force, when I heard that line, my heart soared. I thought, this is perfect. And it was an improvement upon the minority report because it was a finger in the eye of the corporate cheap labor lobby. And so, again, it was really nice hearing what Peter had to say, because again, I was there, but it was just such a surprise, everything that unfolded. He comes up and proposes it, it's on the screen, everyone's reading it. Are we for this or are we against it? Although I would add, as it took the roll call, SD7 voted 9-1 against this. So those of you in SD7 have work to do. Your leaders were whipping against this in favor of amnesty.
That's right.
Okay. Well, I probably talked a lot longer than I intended to. But again, thank you for inviting me. And one more thing. I didn't even know about layering or about TFIRE until just before the convention. And I thought, I can't believe there's a group like this. I mean, I'm not alone.
Your application.
Well, I was about to ask Colonel Stan, I want an application. It feels like, there's only a small number of us who've, I guess, taken the red pill, for those of you who those of us who understand that residency and citizenship in the United States is one of the most valuable and sought-after commodities in the world, and we should treat it like that. We should be selective in who we grant it to. And we also have this crazy notion that immigration policy should benefit American citizens. It doesn't exist to benefit the billions of people who might want to come here. So I promise I will stop talking, but thank you for TFIRE and thank you for having me. And I'm going to apply. You're going to see more of me, hopefully.
We need young members, and we're going to get them. Now, I also want to thank the people up in North Texas who worked on replacing their people and the others on that committee. They did a great job.